again. We're here to continue our series of conversations with our award winners for 2024. And I'm really delighted to have the opportunity to introduce our Young Professional Award. And that this year has gone to Kamau Indirangu. And really, this is just a chance for us to get to know Kamau in a little bit more detail. Fascinating global background, education-wise, experience-wise. But welcome, Kamau. Please tell us a little bit about how you started off on this environmental journey through into water expertise. We can get onto that in a second.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Gary, for having me and, making space for this conversation. I'm really excited as well. So my journey, let me see where to start. So I was born and raised in a small town just outside Nairobi. The name is Kikuyu town. And I would say, when you grow up in Kenya, really, the aspects of environment, water, they're very close to you. These aspects that surrounded me growing up. And I used to be a member of the wildlife organization, in primary school growing up. So that really was my first encounter into the environment space. But then one thing that I really remember growing up is that water has always been a challenge in my community, where my parents came from, my grandparents. So it's always been one of those aspects that are right in your face, especially this is back in the early 90s. So this was my immediate way of thinking about, what can I do to help or to change this situation. And that's where my love and my joy for working the field of water and environment started.
And that you then had that opportunity to go to university. Was it in Delft at that point, or did that come later, or what was the journey once you left Kenya?
So I in the last year of my high school education in Kenya, I was very lucky and fortunate to get a full scholarship. So I attended a New York University in Abu Dhabi. So I was in the first graduating class in the Abu Dhabi campus. So that's where I went for my undergraduate education. I did chemical and biological engineering, but my thesis was really looking at low cost desalination. So in the Gulf countries, when I first moved there, I also, of course, became very attuned to the water scarcity and the water stress in that region in a way that I hadn't seen in Kenya. So then my push towards looking at environment and how that intersects with water availability and use, I ended up doing some research in developing low-cost desalination technologies for communities that use aquifers and groundwater abstraction. And then later on, I continued working in Qatar. I was with an oil and gas company, but in the clean water sector. So I worked for around 2 years as a field engineer, and I looked at groundwater abstraction and development of good aquifer system understanding to enable, this was in Qatar, to enable the country tap into its groundwater resources in a sustainable manner. And, I did that for around 2 years. And thereafter, that's when I got a full scholarship to attend IAIA Delft. So this was an Erasmus Mundus scholarship in groundwater and global change, impacts and adaptations. That was the name of the master's program. So that's when I attended. Part of it was in IST in Lisbon and IAIA in Delft and TU Dresden in Germany. And really, I focused more on groundwater and now looking at the impacts that climate change is having on groundwater and how groundwater can be used as a means of adaptation to the impacts. So I'd really say that all that really intersects with my work on environment as well, in terms of just understanding what are the environmental impacts if you continue abstracting too much groundwater, or what are the ways in which groundwater can be used as a way to preserve the environment. So that really was my initial journey in the field of water management and environmental assessment.
That one of the questions I often get from, I guess, young professionals starting off in career or developing. I mean, how much of your journey was planned out in advance, or was it a case of just making one decision, opportunities arise, take another decision? Where's that balance? I think that's always of interest to young
Yeah,
professionals.
no, that's a good question. So I would say in my case, it's a mix. It's a mix of luck. It's a mix of following intuition. It's a mix of what opportunities are available, and those three don't always come at the same time. Sometimes you're passionate about something, but then you don't find any opportunities around you, or you have opportunities, but you don't really know how to make use of them. And that's where mentorship comes into play. So I would say in my case, it's a mix of all three, but really it's been guided by the opportunities that are available to me, and then seeing how I can turn those opportunities into something that is joyful to me, that makes a positive difference to the people around me, and to the larger community. So I think that's how I would look at that. I understand it can be very difficult, it can be very stressful, and very daunting at times. And this is where I would say it can be difficult, to have the heart to continue in whatever journey you've chosen and I've chosen as starting off my career. But I think having those mentors in place, and trying to seek out opportunities that really resonate with what you want to do is what I would say really kept me going.
And one of the key things that came through in the citations, and the recommendations that went into this award was your real determination and keenness to sort of give your knowledge and spread that more widely, and teach and make sure that you're passing that information on. I mean, is that something that you feel very strongly about?
Oh yeah, for sure, Gary. So I would say I'm very fortunate right now to be working at the World Bank. So I'm currently based in Washington, D.C., and I work as an environmental specialist. And what one of the biggest joys of my current work is that the reach of the World Bank is, in so many countries, and we're able to convene different groups and partners together, and to achieve impact at scale. So in this case, I've been able to work with my colleagues, my peers, and also my mentors at work, and been able to deliver, for example, trainings on key issues in the environment. So for instance, biodiversity conservation. That's been a big topic, especially when you work on large infrastructure projects. So hydropower, large highways, and linear infrastructure. And so my work and role has really entailed looking at how can we work with our counterparts, our the countries that we work in, to ensure that not only these particular projects are done in an environmentally sustainable manner, but they, countries also have the professional capacity, they have the human resources, the financing to be able to take this forth, at their own level. So this is where I would say a lot of the capacity development interest has, emanated from. And the joy of this is that you're not able to, it's not just an impact in one activity. It is ensuring that whether it's the Ministry of Water, the Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Environment, they have the internal knowledge capacity to continue this work. So I think training has been one aspect that I've really been keen at. The other is looking and conducting assessments or analytical work, essentially, on what are some best practices or good practices in particular countries' EIA systems, and how can we draw out those lessons to provide them to other developing countries to really understand what are those unique ways that we can use to protect our own nature, to make value out of it, to conserve it. So I think the role of training and capacity development and this kind of analytical work on EIA systems has also helped me have a wider reach than I would have in particular project activity.
And maybe, what one final question, just to again bring it back to the award itself. What would be your advice to young professionals at this point? Maybe there are two things you can say, these are the things to sort of bear in mind to someone setting off and starting to have a career within environmental social impact assessment.
Wow, just two things. I would I would have a number. Not really. Okay, so I would say the first thing is that it's it's very tough, growing up today where there's so many anxieties, so many issues around us, especially around climate change and the impacts it's already having in many of our countries. So I would say to young people or people looking, to work in the environment space, that there is a lot of hope and there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of innovation going on, and I think it'll be it's a very amazing space to be. It's very interesting, it's very exciting, and there's nowhere else I'd think of to be at this point. But at the same time, I think it's very, very important to also believe in yourself and find mentors that can help you move in the right opportunities. So mentors who can also advocate for you and help you figure out what are the best opportunities to access. Because I understand at the same time, opportunities are not always available, but you want to make your own opportunities in the areas that you're passionate in. So I'd say it's important to seek out mentors who can support you in that journey, who can help you navigate challenges and find out, what are the opportunities that you can scale. And I think lastly, Gary, is that I would say just believe in yourself. I know it's one of those cliche terms that are thrown around everywhere, but really, if you keep doing something long enough, hard enough, then you'll see the results come around. So I think that would be my general advice, looking back at my own journey and what I'd want to share with other young people, either in the environment space or even broader.
That's great. They're very fine words and well said. So look, thank you very much. A very worthy recipient of our Young Professional Award. And very good to chat with you.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.